One of the weaknesses that Xbox has always had is breaking into the Asian market. It's never done particularly well over in Japan or Asia as a whole. And Phil Spencer has said multiple times, the head of Xbox, that that's the key. That's where Xbox wants to go. They want to make relationships with Japanese developers, with Asian developers, and they want to break into that market. They've been very aggressive recently with Game Pass and going after developers and making those relationships. So we've got a lot of, for instance, we've got a lot of Final Fantasy games now on the Xbox and Xbox Game Pass that just previously weren't there. Square Enix made an appearance last E3 on stage with Xbox, actually, which was really interesting and really fun. We got Kingdom Hearts, which was a big get also for Xbox and Game Pass. We're getting games like Dragon Quest. We're getting Yakuza series as well. We're getting a lot of different games that really does show and underscore the aggressiveness that Xbox is starting to take seriously with the Asian marketplace in Japan in particular. And then we have this news story that Japan is now Xbox's fastest growing market worldwide. And this is huge. And I just think this is a great compliment and a great story to underscore how aggressive Xbox is being this generation with the Series X, with their Game Pass strategy, with the Series S and Series X strategy as well. And I think it's paying off, and it's paying off dividends. We're going to talk about it today. We're going to go over it in this story. But before we do, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel if you like the Xbox. If you're into all things Xbox, then this is the channel for you. We've got videos dropping daily, and we've got a podcast that drops each and every single week. So hit that like button, hit the notification bell, subscribe, be informed whenever we go live. Let's jump into this. So this is a news story over at Pure Xbox, and it's very exciting. This is the head of the Asia region, Jeremy Hinton, and he's been talking to IGN Japan as part of an all-new interview confirming during the chat that the region is now Xbox's fastest-growing market worldwide. And this is huge. Hinton pointed out that they have seen, quote, phenomenal growth over the past 12 months, with a high percentage coming from Japanese players who have never owned an Xbox console before, and stock is selling out over there within minutes, quote unquote. Here's what he had to say. He said, quote, "There is no doubt that the demand is absolutely growing in Japan, and I see that in the data that I can see. We have a really high percentage of consoles being bought by people who have never owned Xbox consoles in the past. And the next segment of consumers buying consoles are upgrading from the Xbox 360, which was a quite successful generation for us in Japan comparatively. So we're seeing strong leading indicators in terms of us reaching new people. Demand is certainly higher. We see stock sell out within minutes." Here's something that's really interesting too. Not only are they doing well, and they're doing well with Game Pass and the Xbox Series X and everything selling out. What's really interesting is that they're seeing more demand for the Series S than the Series X, both due to its price and size. And as a result of that, they're seeing more developer interest in the region, which is good long term, I think, for Xbox's success in Asia. Here's what he had to say. He says, "We've got more Japanese developed content in our ecosystem now than we've had at any point within our history. I think we have more development kits with independent developers in Japan than we've ever had in history before, and there's a lot of talent and a growing independent scene in Japan." This is huge. Now, I do see the appeal of the Series S. The Series S, for me, is the best looking, absolutely, by far, not even a question, of the two Xboxes. It's actually my favorite from an aesthetic standpoint. It's just the right size. It works well in your living room, and so I do see that smaller size appeal in places like Japan. But I just have to tip my hats to both Phil Spencer and to Xbox as a whole. I think that they've done a great job at working their way into the Japanese market. Seamus Blackley, when speaking about, he's one of the original creators of the original Xbox. He was on that team, and he talks about trying to have meetings with Japanese developers, and they wouldn't even meet with you. It's just a different market. It's a loyal market. Sony has always owned that with the PlayStation. Nintendo has also always owned it. And Xbox has just had a hard time breaking in. They're seen as into the market. They're seen as an American game company and an American box. and they don't necessarily traditionally do so well in markets like Japan. So breaking in there is huge, and I think already doing well there is big. I think the bigger indicator is that what Hinton said about developer kits being in the hands of more Japanese developers than ever before. That's fantastic for long-term growth. That means that if Japanese developers are buying into the system, there'll be Japanese games. It'll appeal more to a mass market in Japan, and Xbox will hopefully continue to have success. There was another news story a few months ago about Game Pass and how Game Pass subscriptions, one of the fastest markets for Game Pass and xCloud. That's what it is. xCloud, not Game Pass. One of the largest markets for xCloud and one of the largest download bases is in South Korea, of all places. And I think that also makes sense. They're just the culture there is already set for mobile gaming, doing things on your phone. So it makes sense that why xCloud would be having so much success there. All in all, I think this is good for Xbox. I think this is good for the trajectory of Xbox, for this generation of Xbox. I think they're making right moves. Whether you are an Xbox fan or not, you have to admit this is the most aggressive that Xbox has been. This is the most aggressive that they've been within the Asian market. And I think they're starting to see success because of that. And I think it's good for us as fans. I know myself, I am a huge fan of games like Dragon Quest, Yakuza. Yakuza, we have that on Xbox, and that's a series that I had never played before because I've never really been into PlayStation games. That's where it's traditionally been. They're now all on Game Pass, and it's a fun experience to have these different types of games created by developers over in Japan and across the world. And I think Xbox is doing a great job. This is good news. I want to know what you guys think. Do you think Xbox will ever be able to truly compete with a Nintendo and a PlayStation in Asia? That's a big question. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget, again, to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. We're the X1 Bros. I'm X1 the Gamer. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye, everybody.